Hi there. Welcome to She Has It All podcast. My name is Karina. I am here with my girl, Jen.
Yay! How are you?
And so we are excited to be talking about work life balance today. We are entrepreneurs, we are mainly boudoir photographers. Obviously, that in itself is already a lot of work for us. But of course, we obviously do have the podcast as well, and we are expanding into other things as well. So at the end of the day, we are entrepreneurs. So we are talking all about work life balance. Both of us have children, both of us are married, both of us are obviously female, so almost everything falls on us. Of course, our husbands help once in a while, our children help once in a while, but as a female, I feel like you just want things done right.
Absolutely.
Am I right,
That
girl?
is absolutely true. And I also want to welcome you to the Halloween edition. I love Halloween. This is my favorite time of the year. Sometimes being yourself gets overwhelming, so it's nice to have one day out of the year where you can dress up and pretend to be someone else, and people give you treats for it. So it's an absolutely
Most
wonderful holiday.
definitely.
It's my favorite. As you can see, I'm on my Game of Bones set today. Um, I call it Game of Bones because it looks like the Iron Throne just with bones. So
That looks so cool. I love it. I love it. And it is obviously it's also, we both of us live in very warm climates. For Dallas, I believe, Texas, you obviously get up to triple digits. In Reno, we are not um, that hot, but still it is warm. So having cool weather and just feeling that nice crisp air on the skin, just it's so amazing. I love it.
wonderful. It dropped down into like the 60s last week, one
Oh
night,
my
and
gosh.
I was able to sleep with my windows open, and it was like complete bliss. But
Oh my
yeah,
gosh. Heaven.
it was wonderful. And, I always laugh, and I'm sure, we both live in the desert. So I love it when people are like, oh, it's just a dry heat. Well, dry heat or not, hot is still hot. And there's only so much you
Yeah.
can take off, and only so much your air conditioner can do. And it is brutal for having, triple digits for
Oh,
basically since like May. And now it's finally starting to
yes.
cool down, and I don't care. I consider like 95 with all the heat indexes and stuff to be basically 100. It's still really hot. You can't go anywhere. But we went to a concert and it was like gonna rain a little bit. We don't get rain much out here, but the clouds were rolling in, and it dropped down to 90. And it was funny because me and my husband were like, "Oh my god, this is heaven. Did we die and go to heaven?" 90 degrees.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so amazing. It's still funny how quickly just a 5 degree difference like makes. It's
It
crazy to
is.
me. But it feels so good. So
It's
good.
wonderful. So that's what we have going on. But this edition of She Has It All podcast, we are talking about work life balance. Of course, we're wives, we're mothers, we're entrepreneurs. And then, a lot of us deal with chronic diseases as well. I've had multiple sclerosis since 2005 when I was 23. Uh, Over the years, I've learned how to balance it. I haven't progressed. I don't take shots anymore. I'm kind of at a really good equilibrium, and I intend to stay that way. And we'll go over the how I managed to do that, how I managed to do this, because I always get the statement, "You have MS? How can you run a business and be a wife and be a mother and do this and do that?" First of all, I don't panic. That's the first step.
Right.
So we'll go over all of our how, why, and what we do to make that happen during this podcast.
Oh, most definitely, most definitely, and I feel like people sometimes can panic a little bit. There are, obviously you are a huge and amazing example. There are many people doing it out there with, disabilities and stuff like that. It's at the end of the day, your mind is your biggest factor here. Is you can do it. You can do it. Obviously, we're going to be talking about work life balance and how that can be achievable at the end of the day.
Absolutely. So you hit the nail right on the head. So the first thing, and I think the biggest thing for me, is positive mindset. And whatever you think you are. So if you walk around and you say, everything bad always happens to me. Oh, it figures. This was going to go wrong. Oh, of course. I have MS. My life is over. Um, then yeah, bad things are going to keep happening to you. Your body's going to deteriorate. But if you flip it and start saying positive things, whatever you put out, you attract. Whatever you reap, you sow. So if I go out there and say, I have MS, but I'm not dead yet. I still have a lot of life to live
Right.
in me. I have a husband to live for. I have a daughter to live for. I have myself to live for. Um, I want to help other women feel better about themselves, which is why I am a boudoir photographer. I want to, I don't want other women to feel as awful as I felt about my body, because my body has gone through a huge transformation. Um, I used to be a really huge health nut. I was one of those people that would, on my lunch break, I would go run around a lake. I had a lake that wasn't too far from my work, and there was a little walking, running trail. On my lunch break, I would go run around that, come home and go to
Wow.
work, go back to work, and then eat a salad while I was working. Um, when I was 23, and on one of those runs is when my foot went numb and I had my first flare up of my MS. So, of course, no, I wasn't fully diagnosed until 9 years later. That's a story for another episode. It's really hard disease to diagnose, and it's really hard, especially when you're in a state like Mississippi and everybody just doesn't believe you. I didn't bring up MS. I just want to clear the air on that. The doctors brought up MS. I was in a really bad car accident when I was 19, and I thought that foot numbing incident was a result of my back injury from that accident. So I went to them like, do surgery, fix me, I'll be fine. And that did not happen. And then once they were trying to narrow it down and figure out what was wrong with me, they put me on tons of steroids, tons of injections, tons of different medications, and I blew up. I weighed probably about 150. I'm 5'9". I weighed 150 at the time that I got sick, and then I blew up, way past 200. And people treat you differently when you're a bigger person, and they look at you like you're disgusting. And I've had people make comments, and it's really hurtful. So that was also something that I had to overcome as well in doing all this. I know I'm kind of getting sidetracked here, but I wanted to explain where I came from and how I was feeling. um, I've tried to lose the weight. It's very hard. I'll lose some and it'll go back up, and things. So my positive mindset really helps me keep all of this into check and keep everything, I understand that my worth and my value and my contribution to the world is not my weight. It's what I can do, how I can serve other women so they don't feel as awful about themselves as I had felt about myself. Am I where I want to be? Absolutely not. I strive every day to do my best, lose a little weight, do what I can, exercise as much as my body will allow. But I'm not going to continuously beat myself up or hate myself because I'm overweight. That's absolutely ridiculous and no woman. And I think in our society today, everything is so polarized. Everything is this extreme or this extreme, when everything should be right here in this gray area, in this middle ground. So, of course, what caused all of this, making women feel like, oh, if you're not a size 2, you're a big fat cow. Or over here, yes, let's, you know, be unhealthy on purpose, but this, it really needs to be in this middle ground of finding balance. And yeah, not every woman's going to be a size 2, and we all can strive to be a little bit better, and we meet right here in the middle. So um, that being said, I really think that the positive mindset really helps with that balance and coming into that gray area.
Most definitely, and I do appreciate you sharing your story.
Thank you.
It is true. We do live in a society where, of course, women are perceived a certain way. Whether you're a size 2, whether you're a curvier girl. At the end of the day, we are all here trying our best in this world, to be what we want to be, to do what we want to do. I live very almost religiously, with a quote of Henry Ford: whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you're right. And it's true. At the end of the day, it's your mindset that is going to help you move forward, or pretty much, hold you down to where you're at the moment.
Correct. Absolutely. And I really love that quote as well. And I tell that to my kids all the time. It really is about the positive mindset. So how do I correct my mindset? Um, I started in 2019 because I figured if my negativity wasn't going to help me out or hadn't fixed anything, then it wasn't going to fix anything for me yet. So I might as well
Right.
try being positive for a change. So I read tons of books. Before the pandemic happened, I was reading a book like a month. Like You're a Badass, and all these other things, by Jen something, I can't remember.
So Sincero or
Something
something
like
like
that. I'll
that.
put it on the screen right now. So I read her book. She was the first book that I read, and then I continued to read more and more, entrepreneur, self-help type of um, positive thinking. Now, I listen to a lot of Brian Scott. I love his YouTube channel. I've read his book. It's all about thinking about how are our we create our own realities. We create the environment we want, and whatever we push out, we bring back to us. So, um, obviously, that's not the same. You don't control other people's behaviors. You don't control things that happen to you. I'm a victim of child abuse. I've had lots of things happen in my childhood that I've had to go to therapy and overcome. That's not my fault. My part in it is my reaction to it and how I handle it going forward. Um, yeah, it sucks. These things happen to me. It sucks I have MS. It happened to me. Not my fault. However, I can control my reaction to it. And for a year after I got sick, I would just lay around and watch anime, and it's so hilarious thinking about it now, because I was like, all right, well, God, if I'm gonna die, just kill me now. What's the point? And it took me a whole year to realize that I was being stupid. And I'm not dead yet. There's plenty of life to live. Even though I have MS, there's plenty of beautiful things to see, things to experience. I never thought that anyone would ever want to marry me. And I kind of let that go. And I was like, well, I'm not going to have children and things like that. But I walked down the aisle, even with my MS. I had a kid. It, you never know what you have in store if you continue to think negatively and think that your life is over before it even begins. So I met up with an old college friend, and we started dating again. So we're off and on again. Got married, and we have an amazing marriage. He's an amazing man, and I admire him. And he has encouraged me every crazy entrepreneurial idea, whether they are successful or they fail. He always supports me in everything. He never speaks a negative word to me. It's He's such a wonderful man.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Mindset has a lot to do with it. Reading books has a lot to do with it. I have read books as well. There's like one that really stuck to me. I think it was called like Unfuck Yourself or something like that. So
Yes,
I
I
really
think
want
I
to
read
recommend
that
that
one
one.
too.
That one's a really, really good book. And I think that's kind of where I've always been the type of reader that reads more like romantic novels. And then that book kind of pushed me into reading something different, into reading, obviously, these are stories, or these are books that are actually entrepreneurs living their life at it as it is right now. And so to me, those type of books do help a lot. But for me, I have known about the law of attraction since 2010. So to me, gratitude lists are my key in mindset. I do also vision boards as well and stuff like that, and that's kind of what helps me achieve my goals and know where I'm going next. We all do have our setbacks. At the end of the day, we are all humans, and so sometimes like I don't feel like doing it today. I don't feel like being grateful. Today has been a crappy day, this and that. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, but you're still breathing, you're still living, kind of like what you said. You're still alive, you still have fresh air in your lungs, so it's like, why not be grateful? And so all of those things have happened for me as well. Obviously, having such a supportive husband, having such supportive children, and I think that's kind of where our work-life balance comes into play. I have an almost 14-year-old. He will be 14 in the next week, and I have a 6-year-old. So they're old enough to be able to help me around the house as well, which we will be getting into that here shortly. I know we're
Yes.
talking about work-life balance, but it starts off with something, and it starts off with mindset. It starts off with you before anything else can happen. My mom has always told me, you are the head of the household. yes, your husband can be there too, but at the end of the day, the female is the one that's the strongest. You're pretty much the trunk of the tree, because without you, everything falls apart. If you're not there, your husband doesn't know what to do, your children don't know what to do, and I'm sure that happens to you as well, where it's like you are the trunk, you are pretty much the base of your family. And so it has to start with our own mindsets of what we're able to create and what we are capable of doing, just not as mothers, not just as wives, not just as, if you want to call it maids, I guess, at one point. It starts with our mindset, and it starts with us being like, yes, today is a good day. I don't care, if I didn't have toothpaste, in my bathroom, it's going to be a good day. And so all of that just plays into how we run our day, our week, our month, and at the end of the day, pretty much our lives. So, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
how much better can it get, right? It is hard to get into that mindset, because if you have been thinking negatively for so long, it's hard. Anything that is worth it is going to take habit, and it's going to take consistency to get there. As I said before, I've been practicing the law of attraction since 2010. That's about to be almost 13 years. And as I said before, we're all humans. There have been times where I'm like, oh my gosh, this isn't just working for me. I'm being impatient, and why is it not working for me? It's like, you just have to continue to practice it. It's like, but I haven't practiced it like 5 months ago and I want it to work now. Like, that's not how it works. Is you have to be consistent. You have to continue that mindset of knowing your worth and knowing what you're capable of doing, and it'll work out. It'll work out at the end of the day, I promise.
Yeah, no, definitely. And my husband's version of, oh, Jana's not Jana's indisposed today. Okay, McDonald's in Fortnite time.
Exactly my point is, if and we'll go through this right now. It's like the days that I have shoots, it's like, oh, I didn't have time to take out meat or whatever, which rarely happens. But if it were to happen, it's like my husband be like, okay, well, let's just get pizza. It's like, really, there's like food in the fridge, you can't do it.
There's hot dogs, man. You can do hot dogs. Come on now.
Exactly,
Or whatever.
exactly.
Um, so that's funny. But yeah, no, going back to the gratitude thing, anytime I feel crummy, I always go back to gratitude. And it always makes me feel better. Because if you sit there and wallow in your misery or your sadness, or, oh, my package arrived and my order broke, or whatever the situation
Right.
is, you can be like, well, I'm grateful that, I have a home. I'm grateful for my husband. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful for my business. Oh, this promotion didn't work properly. I'm grateful, universe, you're opening this up for something bigger. Um, Usually when bad things happen, and I'm thinking major life changing, like, you lose your job or things like that, you always think the worst of everything. And it just begets more negativity. Oh, how am I going to find a job? Nobody's going to want to hire me. And it just spirals out of control. But if you can stop, look around and say, you know what, I'm grateful. I lost this job. That sucks. But I am grateful because I know something better is on the way. I'm going to be able to have more free time to do things that I love. This opens the door for me to have a job that I enjoy doing. And if you can think of things that way, your life will change. But like you said, it's very hard when you grew up in a negative household. And what people don't talk about a lot of attraction, since I've been studying it, they don't tell you how much healing and, I don't want to say therapy, but yeah, like therapy, and how much emotional baggage you have to unpack in order to get there. No one talks about that, but I'm telling you, there's a lot to unpack there, and you must heal in order to make this work. Because if you do not heal, you're always going to revert back to that negativity, and then it just spirals out of control, and you reap what you sow, and then you're sowing all of this negative energy instead of positive.
And that is true. As I said before, I've been practicing it for almost 13 years now, and it's something that it's said. I'm a huge reader of The Secret. I have the video on my phone and stuff like that when I need it for self help. It's true what they say is like, you can't think positive and negative at the same time. It just doesn't work that way. Um, it is a lot of healing, that is correct. But I believe that once you start and you kind of start seeing the effect of it, it's almost like you have to, I think when you first started, you're good to go. But when you, and this reads, this is from the book Get Rich Lucky Bitch. When you're moving into the next level, like up, leveling up, is when you start like needing to heal and needing like to see what's stopping you from moving into the next phase of your life. And it's hard. It's hard. Anything good is hard, but then again, anything in life is hard. Um, you just have to be consistent on it. You just have to see, it's like, okay, well, what needs to be done now so I can go ahead and move forward to the next level of what I'm trying to do with my life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, and I started in 2019, and I was like, rock bottom. I have nothing to lose. And when you're at that point of, well, you have nothing to lose, you do see gains, and you're like, oh wow, this works. Oh, okay. But then you get to this place where you've leveled up a little bit, and you're like, oh, okay, I can see the possibilities. And then, yeah, you're right. That's when the real work begins. Because
Oh
you
my
have to
gosh.
unpack all of that in order to figure out why you feel unworthy to obtain whatever you want and fix it. You have to fix it, or you're never going to go. You're never going to get it. It's tough.
It is. It is. It sucks. It's hard, but believe me, at the end of the day, it is rewarding. It is so worth it.
It's
So
absolutely
worth it.
worth it. And when I was at that lower level, I'd tell my husband, "It's like I feel like I work so hard and I have nothing to show for it." And then things started happening, and every day, morning and night, I go through and I have my gratitude list and I express my gratitude, and I really feel it. You have to really feel it in your heart too, and just let the gratitude really wash over you. And once I did that, and I'm like, you know what, I'm okay, whatever, I'm okay where I'm at. Then things started happening. We got a new house, and all these different opportunities opened up, and it was just so mind blowing.
And let me say, her house is very pretty.
Thank you.
All right, so we've spoken about
Yes.
mindset. Now we are moving into obviously what you guys are interested in. Believe me, as I said before, mindset is very important. So once you have that mindset, once you have that base, you are more than welcome to, or you can, at least for me. I am a huge nerd, I guess, on organization, on schedules for everything that I do. I am, 1,000% grateful to someone that I follow on Instagram. Her name is at Jordan Page. She is funcheaperfree.com on her website or whatever. I have been following her pretty much since my daughter was born in 2016, or I think I was still pregnant with her. And she shows you how to just pretty much, it's simple little things that you do, but it makes your life so much easier. As I said before, I have a 14-year-old. He'll be 14 in a week. He has his own chores that he needs to complete. Of course, both of them do go to school, so it does help a lot that I do have time on my own to be able to work on my business and go and my shooting days and stuff like that. Um, but once they get back, once they come back home, they have things to do. They go through what I call, or what she calls, clipboards. And so it's pretty much outlining what they need to do as soon as they get back home. The moment that they leave for school is the exact same thing. You have to do certain things, X amount of things before we leave for school. You have to get your lunch ready. You have to eat breakfast. You have to make your bed. I'm not doing any of that for them. No way, Jose. They are old enough to be able to do it for themselves at this point. Yes, once in a while, like, did you do it? Did you do what you needed to do? Go and check your clipboards again. And then they check it off on what they did. Once they come back home, obviously, they do their homework. They will be helping me with our dinners and stuff like that. I am a huge, 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 I cannot express it enough, just schedules, systems for me, because when summer comes along, I am like a chicken with a head cut off, because there's like no systems in place, no schedules, which of course it's going to happen because, they do need a break from that as well. But it is a little bit more complicated during summer breaks, but that's how I work. I'm not sure if that's how you do it too, girl.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. My big proponent or I'm a big proponent of lists. Always list out things. My daughter has a schedule of chores that she has to do. I also do princess photos for little girls, little empowerment sessions, and she helps me with that. And she'll, move props around, sets, lights, and stuff around for me, and help me clean up and things like that. I think it's important for them to be involved. I am not so lucky though. My daughter's homeschool, so she's always with me, 24/7. It's great. It's really great. Sometimes. Um, but, there's no boundaries because I'm always home. So, oh, mom's home. Let me go bother her, even though I'm in the middle of work, and it doesn't matter. I can hide anywhere in this house and she'll find me. And it's sometimes very frustrating because I'm like, either maybe dealing with a client problem, or have my work, and I'm like, really focused, and she'll break my concentration. Can I play Fortnite, or something like that? I'm like, really serious right now. um, but I love having her here and close and knowing where she is and being able to help her with her school. And I feel like I really expand on what the lessons that are being taught and things like that. But how I keep organized is the list. The list is very important. So we get up at a certain time. She does her school. I do my work. I meditate every morning. That's kind of part of the law of attraction and gratitude thing. I say I'm gratitude, or great, what I'm grateful for, and I meditate for about 30 minutes, and then I go about my day, and that really puts me in a good mood. And then I go down my list and figure out what I can accomplish that day. If it's a day that I'm not feeling too well, then I pick something that maybe I can sit in bed and work on my computer or something. If it's something, oh well, I want to redo my sets, or photography sets, or redo the lighting or something like that, and I have a little more energy that day, then that's what I work on. I don't make myself do, oh, it's Monday, I have to do this. I have a list of things to do, and I check it off as I have the energy to check it off. So,
and that's kind of how I do it too. As I said before, I do have a little bit of more wiggle time in my time because my children do go to school. But it is pretty much similar to it. Again, this is part of the system that I learned in this, I guess, entrepreneur that I follow on Instagram. Is she does blocks. And so what you do is like from 8 to 12, you have this amount of things to do. And then from like 12 to 4, you do this amount of stuff. So I do it, obviously I have about 6 hours in the day to do what I need to do. Once they come back home, I will kind of work here and there still, but at the end of the day, my focus is already on them. Kind of like what you do. I don't push myself. I used to work for a corporate office back in the day, so I know the stress on having to meet deadlines. So I don't do that. Is if I got things done, cool. Sometimes it doesn't happen, your internet is slow, whatever the case may be, you have to go out and run errands still. One of the things that have helped me a lot is when I discovered Walmart pickup.
yes.
That's another list that I do as well, as I put it on the side of my fridge. And so I have my weekly meal plan of what I'll be making that week. And on the side of it is my shopping list. And so every single person in my family, my husband, me, my children, well, my 6-year-old can't do it just quite yet, but my son does help her, is if you need something, if something is running low, if it's not there anymore, write it on that shopping list, because that is what I will be ordering for the week, based off on that shopping list. If it's not there, sorry, you're gonna have to wait till next time, because I'm not going to. I make my family accountable as well. It's like, it's not just me. It's as a family, we all need to help each other. And so, as I said before, lists, schedule, systems is what helps me a lot. And so for the days that I'm here at home, obviously, I try my best to be here, but as I said before, I do take naps, so bed does call once in a while. So I try and kind of maybe sometimes leave to like a cafe or something like that to be able to get things done. I don't overwork myself in regards to that. But the days that I do have shooting days, I will thaw out the meat or whatever the meal is the night before, probably leave it in the fridge, and then once before I leave, get all of my stuff ready. I shoot outside of my home. I shoot, in my studio. And so I get my camera ready, my oh my gosh, I don't remember what they're called. My battery's ready, my lens, everything is ready for the next day. And so once we get ready to go, um, I am a huge fan of crock pots.
Yes.
So you
Instant
just pretty much
pots
throw
too.
everything in there. Yeah, you just pretty much throw everything in there, and you set it up for 4 hours, and by the time you come home, it's ready, and it's just sitting on the warm side of things, and you just have to do is just feed your family. And so I'm a huge person on that. Obviously, in non-shooting days, I will take the time to make a meal and stuff like that. But again, my children help me on setting up the table. My daughter will sit here like, "What can I help you with?" If you're cooking, I'll probably make her do like something simple. But at the end of the day, it's not just me doing all the work. It's my family helping too, because they need
Yeah, yeah,
to.
absolutely.
We all live together, and you're teaching them responsibility at the end of the day too. For crock pot meals, Pinterest is my fan. Pinterest is my lifesaver. That's kind of where I get all of my crock pot meals from.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I love my Instant Pot and my air fryers. I have two air fryers and an Instant Pot, and I have two little things for the Instant Pot because sometimes, if I want to like curry, so we'll make curry and then we'll make it a pot of rice, and it's both in the Instant Pot.
Oh my
So,
gosh, sounds so
oh
delicious right
man,
now.
yeah, I'm like, oh, I wonder if I have the stuff to make that. YouTube is my go-to. I love YouTube because they have really good recipes. There's a guy called Pressure Luck, and he does instant pot meals. There's some people who do only air fryer meals. Um, I try to stay healthy, and what has helped me with my MS and control it is to kind of cut back on box processed foods. I know I'm still overweight. You would think I wouldn't be, but here I am. But we eat a lot of just meat and two vegetables as the side or something like that. And if I get real fancy, I'll make like gluten-free mac and cheese with for my daughter and eat that. We
Mm,
had that this weekend. It was really good. But that's
that sounds
thank you.
delicious.
Oh, it's an indulgence. But but things like that. So like my husband loves wings and Wingstop and Buffalo Wild Wings. It's so expensive, so I'll from Walmart
Oh my
I'll buy
gosh, it
a big
is.
bag of wings and I'll stick them in the air fryer, and they were more delicious than. And you could buy the Buffalo Wild Wing sauce. We just poured some of that on there. It was delicious, and we had carrots and like French fries and things like that. So there's ways that you can make it really simple, and nutritious food as well, and try to keep it. I followed the paleo diet in 2013, and that really stopped the progression of my disease. I don't adhere to it. I adhere to it about 60% of the time, I'd say. There's some things on there that I eat, like corn and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I know it's all about making it easy and something that's really quick for you. So the air fryer, crock pot, instant pot, it all makes it like I rarely use my stove. I just really do it because I don't need to. I just cook with these other things and these other methods. Oh, and the microwave too. My husband's so funny. He had to have one for his office in the
That is too
house
funny.
because he was
That
worried
is
when I
too
had
funny.
clients over, he'd make noise, and I'm just like, because we have a kitchenette upstairs, so he was all worried about it. I'm like, whatever. So that was his Father's Day gift this year.
That is awesome. That is
um,
awesome.
another thing that we did for a while when I was really busy is we ordered from a company called Freshly, and they make pre-made meals that are
Hmm.
frozen. And it's you think of Stouffer's and brands like that, they're really salty and you can really taste the chemicals in them. It's not like
Yes.
that. Freshly's not like that. They don't use chemicals. They just make the food and then they freeze it and then they ship it to you. And it's made, I think, here in Arlington, so like across the metroplex from me. So
Nice.
it doesn't have to travel very far. And this food is delicious. It is so
That's
yummy.
awesome.
You don't taste chemicals. It does need a little salt. You put a little salt on there, and it's amazing. And everybody gets to pick what they want. So we always have a
Oh,
freezer of
cool.
those. And so if we're busy and we're really tired and we're even too tired for instant pot stuff, we'll be like, all right, just go grab a Freshly, and everybody gets what they want, and then we sit down and eat.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I absolutely love that. I actually will cook meals once in a while on my stove just because I am Mexican. So my husband loves my Mexican food. I'll
Aw.
probably make like enchiladas once in a while. I'll make you know the stuffed peppers that I make, all that good stuff. That it does take a little bit longer. You're like, really? I took an hour and a half to do this for it to be eaten in 15 minutes. But it's so good. Obviously, I am so proud of my heritage and where I come from. I love being able to show off that pretty much my food comes from scratch. I don't do it that often. If I do have busy days, I will just work the crock pot as much as possible. Even the oven, I will just throw a whole bunch of stuff together. Again, going back to that same girl, well, she's older than me, but she also does what we call shelf cooking, and so pretty much what things are being left behind on your on your pantry, your freezer, your fridge, things that maybe veggies are starting to look kind of sad and stuff like that. You just pretty much throw like a stir fry if needed, and those are other things that I do as well. If I'm tired of crock pots, I will be like, okay, what do we have left over? Maybe, ground beef was left over from the day before. If I have vegetables that look pretty sad, I was like, okay, let's throw it all together, make something. If I'm cooked rice the day before, this is all we're eating today, and I'll make a meal out of it. Super simple, super easy. You don't even have to go out and do anything. It's like just having that mindset, once again, going back to the mindset. And again, I've been doing this for years, so my mind is already kind of worked up to that. It's like, okay, what do I have available in my pantry? What do I have available in my fridge, in my freezer that I can use? Just yesterday, we used up frozen meatballs that needed to be used up. And I was like, okay, we go get pasta. We go get, if we want to make it from scratch, the pasta sauce. Get some bread and use up those meatballs, and we got spaghetti. Super easy, super simple. You don't have to go out and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't make dinner again. We got to go out and spend like $70, $80 on dinner, because that is not the right way to do it
No.
either. There's just super simple ways to do things. Just pretty much use whatever you have in your pantry, whatever you have left over, and just make a meal out of that.
Make it
I
nutritious as well.
did exactly. And I think I went once, like a whole week, cooking like a chicken. Yes, my husband did notice, like towards the end, he's like, are we eating chicken again? But I was like, hey, we need to use this up, okay? So we're going to eat that. So it's super simple stuff, super easy stuff, that it doesn't take that long. And you have kitchen tools nowadays that, as you said, air fryers and stuff like that, that makes it super easy, super simple to just come up with meals that quick.
Absolutely. And I do the same thing with the Walmart list. I've been using that forever. But we have apps on our phone. My husband and I are connected to it. And so anytime anything runs out, we add it to the cart. And then when I'm ready to order it, I just order it. And if you don't get it on there by the time I order, oh well.
Exactly. And it's like, okay, this is my time to go get groceries. I usually pick up like on the weekends, either Saturday or Sunday, and it's like, hey, sometimes the list might look a little bit too small. And I'll look through the fridge very quickly, and sometimes I might be the nice person, be like, hey, did you need something from Walmart or something? I'm ordering groceries right now. It happens very rarely. I usually go off based on that list, but then all I have to do is just pick it up. I still haven't done the drop off yet, just because, I don't know, I feel kind of iffy on it. But one day I probably will, and I still need to get out of my house. I'm such an introvert. I know it doesn't look like it, but I am an introvert at heart, so it already is hard enough for me to get myself out there. So that's one of the reasons why I don't do drop off, is because I'm like, okay, I really need to get out of my house anyways. I need to do something than just be stuck in my four walls all day. So that's one of the reasons why I still haven't done drop off. But it is such a lifesaver. I used to, back in the day, take like an hour and a half figuring out what aisle things were at, and then still, load it in my car, unload it, put it away. Oh my gosh. It took like 3 hours to do all of that. Oh my gosh.
It sucks up all
3
your
hours
energy
of
all
my
day.
time. It does. It does. I'm like, yeah, so let's start doing this, and it's, cut down to just an hour. Super simple, super easy. I'm telling you, just work harder, or I'm sorry, work smarter, not harder. Seriously.
Absolutely. And I can't remember, so forgive me, I can't remember where this came from, but I was reading something that talked about the 80-20 rule. So and then this brings me back to the 80-20 rule, which the 80-20 rule helps direct your time and money and resources towards things that yield the highest and best results with the most, the minimal effort. So that's the way I look at Walmart grocery or Walmart delivery, because what is my energy yielding walking around the store for 3 hours with a child screaming?
Oh my
That's
gosh,
not
yes.
nothing.
Yes.
So being able to order it, and I do deliveries most of the time. I have the Walmart delivery subscription, and then you also get like Paramount Plus with it, so we get streaming with
Oh,
it.
cool.
That just happened this month, and there's other gas perks and other things with it. So, and it's only like $12 a month. So anyway,
Hmm.
so I let them deliver it to me. So while they're delivering and shopping for me, I'm upstairs, helping my kid with school, working on work, things like that. So my energy is more focused in something that will yield me money, which is purely
Gotcha. Makes
economics, right?
sense. Yep, pretty much, pretty much. As I said before, I just do it in the fact that, I seriously need to get out of my house. I seriously need to be breathing some fresh air once in a while, too. I mean, it takes about, like 20 minutes of my time to go get the groceries, because as soon as you park, it's like within five
Boom.
minutes, they're out there, loading your car. So most definitely, I absolutely love that. So if you are listening, that is part of work-life balance, too, which you should start following and implementing the 80-20 rule, okay? Get that noted on your notebook.
And then I guess the next thing would be is you have to really find me time. You have to recharge. You cannot pour from an empty pitcher. So if you don't fill yourself back up with love, you can't give love. And I think a lot of women feel like it's wrong or a sin to do something nice for yourselves, and that's absolutely not true whatsoever. So,
And that is correct,
so what are
yeah.
some ways that you focus on yourself, Karina?
So I do, obviously, one of the simpler things to do is obviously just take a nice, bath. I actually had a client that gifted me a Victoria's Secret candle. Oh my gosh, it's lavender. It smells so
Ooh.
good. So, so good. And so I will, you have my husband with our children and stuff like that. And I will just be like, don't bother me. And he knows exactly what I'm talking about. And, he's very supportive on that. He's like, I get it. And so he'll be with the kids watching TV or something like that, and I will light that candle and just pretty much soak in all the water, almost get myself to a point where I'm not thinking about work, I'm not thinking about being a mom. I'm just like hearing and focusing on my heartbeats, focusing on the way, my lungs are filling up with air and stuff like that. Just center myself pretty much. That's one of the easiest things that I can do for myself. Just recently, actually, again, we go back to the listings. What is something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time? One of those things was actually do like a hip hop dance class.
Ooh.
I suck at dancing, but I was like, I'm gonna do it anyways, and I did. It was super fun. I actually just did another one where I have been wanting to do a pole fitness class for a while, and I did it.
Heck
I did
yeah.
it. I was in pain the next day. Actually, the next 3 days, like the next day, I was like, oh, I feel kind of good. And then the following days, I was like, oh my gosh, my ribs are hurting, my legs are hurting. But it felt so good to do something that I've been wanting to do for myself for so long. And it's just those little things. Even if I like were to go and buy myself flowers, it's something that I like to do. It's something that I love. I love white roses. And so just those little things, it was showing you like, hey, I'm taking care of myself. I love myself. And this is how I'm rewarding myself. Even if I just go to the store and get myself a chocolate bar, a Reese's or a Snickers is enough for me. How do you do it?
Well, the bath thing is very important. I take Epsom salt baths. I try to take one every night. It really helps with my muscles and manage my MS. And then, like you said, it also centers me. I play through my Alexa positive affirmations. And so I just kind of lay there and sit there. It have positive things and it helps me recharge. And then I can go back to dealing with life after that. And then I really enjoy smells like scents. Bath and Body Works is like my favorite store. So a few weeks ago, I went in there and I got myself some new smell goods, some candles and things like that, because it
Ooh.
it really is an investment in your vibration, and that's the way we need to look at it. okay, you're circulating money. You're not spending money. You're circulating that money because it's coming back to you.
Mm-hmm.
But also it's an investment you're investing in, because smelling those scents every day, my pumpkin spice or whatever, because I'm totally basic, makes me feel good. And I'm like, this smells good. And then I walk into my bathroom, it's butterscotch. And then I walk over here, oh, it's something else. So it makes me feel really good. So those are some of the things that like put me in a really good mood.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Let me just tell you a quick story of Bath and Body Works. More than several years ago, I used to work for um, a neurologist. I want to say more than it's about to be a decade ago. And so, we were exchanging gifts at work and stuff like that, like the Secret Santa or whatever. And I don't really like scented lotions, mainly because it dries out my skin. It dries out my skin really badly. I can't do it. It has to be like non-scented so it can moisturize my skin. Anyways, I was like, okay, well, let's see what the girls like. And so I started applying little bits here and there on my skin so I can smell the difference of the scent. So I was like, okay. Ended up buying whatever I needed to buy and then left the mall. And when I was leaving the mall, I was like, oh my God, it smells like really strong. I was like, oh my God, it's me. I had put so many different lotions on myself that I had like just a huge like smell on myself of different types of scents. It was the funniest thing ever. I love scented lotions. I wish my skin would take it, but it just doesn't. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't moisturize my skin at all. But if it works for you, I envy you in such a good way, because obviously you want to smell good, and I'm glad it works for you. It sounds amazing to be able to just have those moments to yourself, and with your favorite scents. It's incredible, the smallest things that can just lift you up and just center you again to who you are.
Absolutely. And it makes everything be able to flow, so that gratitude, you're recharged and you're refreshed to wake up and tackle the day.
Most definitely, most definitely. I love it. I love it.
Sometimes I like to get a massage every once in a while or things like that.
Ooh.
And that really helps with my muscles. And the last time I went, I think a few months ago. She did this technique called cupping, because I get, with my MS, I get
Hmm.
knots in my muscles.
Oh,
And
okay.
so she
Okay.
puts these cups on it, and it has this pressurized, and it pulls. Um, so muscle just, when you get a massage, you're just, working on the muscle. This pulls the
Mm-hmm.
muscle up away from the underlying fascia, and apparently the fascia is what
Oh.
causes a lot of the pain associated with MS and
Hmm.
things like that. So it pulls it away so it can reset, unfuck itself, basically. And then a few minutes later, and it makes these little rings. So I got a cup, and ever since I got my own set of cups, like, it's been the biggest miracle. Anytime I have any spasms or
That's
things like
awesome.
that, I put that on there. And 5 minutes later, I'm like pain free. I'm like, oh, I feel like a pony. Like,
Wow, that's awesome. That's
so
amazing.
that's something else you can do for yourself, that it doesn't necessarily have to cost a lot of money. That you can do for yourself to make yourself feel better. So
Exactly, exactly. I mean, you can go to the dollar store. They have all sorts of scented candles there. If that were the case as well. I mean, you do not
oh,
have
and
to
it smells so
go
good
all out
too.
and yes, actually they do. They really do. So you don't have to go all out like my client that she did. The Victoria's Secret candle. That was a gift from her to me. But it's super simple. As I said before, mine can be as simple as going to the gas station and getting a chocolate bar and just sitting in my car and just taking in the taste of chocolate. It's super simple. But the key here is just to pretty much take a moment for yourself, because you do not want to get burned out, because as I said before, you are the trunk of that tree that is holding everything together. Even if it's just for yourself, even if you are just a single human being that has no kids, has no spouse, you are still the person that is pretty much holding it all together. So if you are burnt out, your business is not going to work. You're not going to function as a human. So take time to yourself is all we're saying.
Absolutely. Um, And then another key to it is try to find a job that you love. Well, don't try, do. Find a job that you love. And I go through this with my husband a lot because I ask him, well, what do you want to do? Well, something that makes money. No shit, Sherlock. What do you want to do? What makes you happy? And he's a Libra and he doesn't know. So we struggle with his indecisiveness of what he wants to do. Um, and sometimes you don't know. And if you're in your 30s or 40s and you don't know yet, that's fine. But ask, sit down, meditate on it, think about it. What do you love to do? And what could you do every day for the rest of your life and not get tired of it? And that'll help you in the right direction. And I think for Karina and I, it's taking pictures. I started my journey as a news photographer in 2000. Oh my God, I'm showing my age. It's my first photography job, and I actually learned on film cameras and learned how to do the darkroom and all of that. So things have changed a lot over my career. I decided I wanted to make money and didn't know how to do it with photography, so I actually went into law. I have a master's in law and was a court administrator for a while. And leaving that job was like the best thing that ever happened to me. Because I asked my husband, what am I going to do? I have a master's, and this is what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life, and I hate it. I hate the politics. I hate the backstabbing. I hate the bad energy. Like, it brings me down. I can't do this anymore with that. And my judge was needy as hell. And, God forbid I went to the doctor I have to go to the doctor to manage my MS and get refills of my medications and stuff. And she would just give me a hard time, just managing my disease and doing things, just upkeep. So it's good now. I'm not going to fire me over going to the doctor because I understand what me is going through. So when you work for yourself, you don't have to worry about those things. And
Exactly.
you can take your time and do things the way you need to have them done. So I think it's very important to find something that you love to do. Everybody on the earth has something that they do that is unique to them, that is not quite like what everybody else does. So you have a huge purpose in this whole grand scheme of the universe. There's something that you can do for other people that no one else can do the way you do it. And people are going to like that and be drawn to that. And it's all circular. So I think that when you find something that you love to do and do it on purpose, that really feeds into your energy as well, because you're not going to a job you dread. You're not working for someone who's crazy and yells at you for no reason all the time,
yes.
or makes you feel bad because you have to go get refills on your medication that you need to function. Right. So it's just a better environment. Like, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So again, going back to the whole big life changes, oh, this is the end of the world, what am I going to do, to it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So,
and it's at the end of the day, it's what you love doing that makes things flow. I've had my fair share of bad jobs. I've had my fair share of good jobs before I decided to work for myself. So don't I guess, how do you say it? Don't think that there are not good jobs out there, because sometimes, like, do I really have to start a business? No, you don't have to. There are still good companies out there that are obviously, at the end of the day, it's like, does it make you feel good to go to work every single day? And if it does, then you're in the right place. And if it doesn't, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to go to the exact same job again with the exact same people. Then it's time to look, somewhere else. Again, going back to what you said earlier, is if you're losing that job, or if it's time to go, it's because the universe has something better for you. I guarantee you, and I promise you, that is the case. It's not because the universe is against you. It's not. It's giving you what you're asking for. So always trust your gut. Always feed positivity on yourself, and always just move forward with knowing that things are happening for your higher good.
Always your higher good. And yeah, not everybody is. Being an entrepreneur is not for everybody. It's not my husband's thing. He prefers, he works in education, and he loves what he does. He loves what he does. It's a tongue twister for me for some reason. So he really enjoys it. So, we both help each other out. He's got his thing, and then I have my thing. So you don't have to own your own business or be an entrepreneur or anything like that to make this successful. You can do it however you want. That's the point. You have it all. You have everything you want the way you want it, and it can happen.
Most definitely. Remember the quote, whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you're right.
And so that brings me to our next point, which is setting boundaries. I was just talking to Karina before we got on the podcast, and I have two phones. I have a work phone, and then I have a personal phone, and I have everybody. All my clients are on my work phone, obviously, and it cuts off at a certain time so I can focus on my family. Because if I have people like trying to text me at like midnight, 9 p.m., and I'm like, are you serious right now? But if I hear the alert, I'll be tempted to respond to it because that's just the way I am. So I put it on do not disturb after 6 o'clock. That's that. I give my day to my clients. I will help any way that I can, but I also have a commitment to my family, and I want to be there for them, and my energy needs to be focused towards that in the evenings.
Yes, as I said before, boundaries are important. Boundaries are important not only with your clients, boundaries are important with yourself as well. I remember when I first started, my photography business. I would go like days, from the moment I woke up to the moment I picked up my kids to still come home and still do, after I was done making dinner, still sit down and do more work. And, I would get mad because people were not doing what I was asking or clients were just being difficult and stuff like that. So it's not just boundaries with clients. They do have to be aware that you are a human at the end of the day as well, that you do have family as well, regardless again of what that is for you. If you do actually have children, if you do actually have a spouse, and if you don't, it's still time for you. um, on the flip side is I have a friend. She is a workaholic. She That's what she is literally. We just reconnected a couple of years ago, where she said that she got to a point where she wouldn't even go home. She would literally stay at the doctor's office that she was working for, sleep there for like 4 hours max, and do it all over again. That's like she pretty much worked like 20 hours a day, trying to get up, this up and running. Of course, she got paid and stuff like that. Of course, the doctor that she worked for was grateful. But that's not my point. Is my point is you also have to set boundaries for yourself, and be almost like telling yourself not to do it anymore. It's like, okay, we need to stop, and this is, these are my hours, and actually stick to those hours. That's when you have to work, and that's it. That's it. The rest of it, as you said before, it's dedicated to my family. It's dedicated to me. It's dedicated to what I want to do. I love shooting. I love, making amazing images. But I also love painting. I also love being out in the nature. Mother Nature is one of my biggest things where I kind of recharge as well. All of those things also make you human, not just being working your life away on a business. Yes, it's good, but you get to a point where you also need to walk away from your business because you're exhausted, you're tired, you're burnt out, you're frustrated that things are not working your way because you're just stuck on your phone like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Like, no, let it go. Set boundaries for yourself. I work from this time to this time, and the rest of the time I, do either airplane mode on my phone, do not disturb on my phone, literally turn it off and put it in the freezer or something that will make you just not walk away from things. Walk away from things. And so boundaries are good with your clients because they will respect you. They'll be like, you know what, she also is, she also has a life. If you're there constantly replying to them, these people get needy, these people get demanding, and that's not how you want to do business. And again, you need time. We go back to the same thing: is you need me time. You need me time with your family. You need me time for yourself because you will get burnt out. You will.
Yeah, and you can't be a good business owner, and you can't provide good customer service if you're burnt out. You're just going to be angry and bitter. And another way to think of it is like, okay, so you do all these things and you're a workaholic and you put all these promotions, you set up your ads or whatever you're doing. Then you have to let it go and let the universe work. Think of it this way: if you're holding so tight on this and wanting this to work, then how can the universe put what you want in your hands if your hands aren't open? Because you're holding on to this so tight. So remember, do what you need to do, set up your promotions, set it, forget it a little bit. Obviously, you need to follow up, but you know, during the times, walk away, take a walk in nature, let go, so then the universe can put what you want into your hands. That makes sense.
Exactly. Yep. It is easier said than done. Letting go is one of the hardest things to do. But the more you do it, again, it goes back to the same thing I said earlier, consistency, making it a habit, it will become second nature, I promise.
Absolutely. And then, so that brings us to our last point here, which is ask for help. And so we go through this. My husband's really good. Uh, when we first got married, we weren't as simpatico as we are now. Uh, and he knew me. He knew me before I was sick, and he knew me after I was sick. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to be Miss Housewife, especially if you expect me to work too. I'm not going to bring home the bacon and fry it and, everything else. You're going to have to pull your weight. So, um, we came up with, well, what chores do you prefer over this? And he prefers to wash laundry. Okay, that's
No.
not one of my things, but sure. I don't mind doing dishes. That's fine. I don't mind cooking, and we share cooking and things like that. But he can cook simple things like hamburgers and hot dogs. But you know what? It's delicious when you don't cook it. I'm gonna tell you that one right now.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So we work together in that capacity. He does the yard work. I do a lot of the cleaning inside. And the yard looks so beautiful. He sits out there for on the weekends and weeds and stuff like this. I mean, it looks so pretty. Uh, but my
Nice.
point is we share all the work. And if I need help, I can definitely ask. For my daughter, I make sure that she has a list. She has a list of chores every day that she has to do. Mommy, I want to play Fortnite. If I see another Fortnite dance, I swear to God, I'm gonna lose my mind. I hate that game so much. Um, but her and my husband love it, so I don't mind sitting there watching them play it. I just can't play it. It's just not something I can do. But anyway, sidetrack. Uh, so when she asks to play games, I'm like, well, did you do your chores? And she's like, can I play after my chores? So she has to clean her room. She'll run a vacuum. Um, and she'll have to, wipe things down. I make her dust. Sometimes, we'll swap cleaning the bathrooms. We'll take turns, things like that. So it makes her accountable. She doesn't leave a mess, for me to clean up because she knows she's gonna have to clean it up. So she learns and she gets a little bit of growing up. But it's okay to ask for help. Another thing as an entrepreneur, a lot of beginning entrepreneurs are very scared of hiring people to help. And there's no shame in hiring people to help, whatever that looks like for you. I have a lady who comes in and she actually cleans my studio area and cleans the bathrooms and stuff for me. Um, that's a way, because again, it goes back to the economics of it, the 80-20 rule. What am I going to get out of it? Can I clean my house? Yes, absolutely, I can. Is it pointless? Yes, absolutely it is. Because while she's cleaning and, I pay her X amount of dollars, I can make 3 times that by, working a lead or talking to a client or things like that. Um, so where's my time better spent? Is it better spent scrubbing toilets for free, or is it better spent over here talking to a client and booking a client? It's a no-brainer. So don't worry about it. And even if it's something as simple as hiring a cleaning lady, it doesn't necessarily have to be someone that works in your business. I also have a girl who helps me out every once in a while, and she'll list things on my Etsy shop or do Facebook posts or things like that, as needed. It's not something I do all the time, but it's still, oh, I'm a little busy. Can you do this for me? And it takes that pressure off and gives me a little more time to do me stuff, and it also gives me time in order um, to move forward and make the money that makes all of this possible.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And yes, it is true. Asking for help, again, as females, it's very hard. I said at the beginning where it's like you want things to be done correct, you want things to be done right. My mom comes from a background of being a housekeeper pretty much all of her entire career. She has like 20 plus years in her background where, she would like pretty much run her finger through, the glass, be like, this is dirty, and she would want it clean a specific way. And so I despise cleaning. I don't like it. Um, Thankfully, we are in a small apartment right now, so it's not too much of a hassle. Super simple things that need to be, upkept. But other than that, as I said before, my helping people are my own family. Again, we do just like you. We divide chores. We would divide cooking days. When my husband's off, it's like okay, his is usually potatoes and steaks. So like, you pick out the steak, you pick out the potatoes. You'll be the one cooking tonight. And it
Come over
is
to
true
your
when you're
house.
the one not. I know, right? And it is true when you're not the one cooking. Sometimes the food tastes so much better. I don't know how that works. We will leave that for a different podcast. But it is so true. Like when you're not the one cooking, it tastes so much better. So he knows. He'll start thinking of the days of what he's going to be doing, and what he's going to be preparing for meals that day. We will sit there and do dishes together. That's our bonding time as well. The kids again have their own chores that they have to go through. Every single person in my household does their own laundry. My husband does his own laundry. Right now, I'm teaching my daughter to do her own laundry, but very soon she will be let go and she will be doing her own laundry. My son does his own laundry. I do my own laundry. Everyone has their own laundry to do because no, I'm not doing everyone's laundry. Again, it's just responsibilities being just taken into just being it me to dividing it, as I always like to say, divide and conquer. Divide and conquer is pretty much how we work, and it helps a lot. It does. There are times, as I said before, like the moments that I do need me time is when I do ask for help. It's like, hey, can you take the kids? Can you go do something? Or he'll see it himself and be like, hey, we're going to go out. I see you a little bit worked up. We're going to go do something. Cool. So it is difficult outsourcing. I outsource my editing. I have someone that actually does my editing, and so I outsource that. I am getting to a point where I will be outsourcing, and I'm trying to get a social media manager because that takes up a lot of time. And it is true. It's like I can be doing something else instead of scheduling Facebook posts for my group. And it's a hard thing to let go again because I can possibly say I'm like a control freak in that aspect where I want things done a certain way. But you have to at one point be like, okay, I can't do this all myself. It's impossible for everything to be done by me. So divide and conquer. If I'm sitting here scheduling posts and I have a client that's going to be on the phone and they're ready to book with me, well, of course you're going to want to book the clients and sitting here scheduling posts. So it's just things that you have to balance, put in the scale, and say, what do I need to, remove off my plate so I can make, more money, and so I can be focused as well on my mental health as well, too.
So freaking lootly. So there's no shame in asking for help. It's a wonderful thing. And once you kind of let go of that feeling, you can let things flow. Everything's circular, everything works. And, when you try to do everything yourself, you take the opportunity for your children or your husband to learn and contribute as well. And it creates a stronger bond and everybody feels a part of it and like they made it happen as a family. So um, it's really nothing to be ashamed of at all.
Nope. Not at all. We are women, not super women. Well, we can be, but we don't want to be at the end of the day.
No, I mean, we are super women, but you know what? We're also human, and we have human
Exactly.
needs and human beliefs, and we really need to take care of ourselves, and we need to shatter this fallacy um, that women can't ask for help and women have to do everything. We have to bring home the bacon, fry it, and clean up after it. Um, it's just too much. It's too much to be expected to do all of this. And while we can be the leaders and, like you said, the trunk of the tree, that's fine. But the branches need to contribute as well. They need to spread their
Most
wings and,
definitely.
collect the sun and all of that. So,
Most
uh,
definitely. Well said.
thank you. Well said, you. This is a really good episode. I really enjoyed this. I hope you all got a lot out of this. Um, we did a lot of thinking on this and a lot of lessons, I guess, over the years that um, took us to figure all this out. And I think, we have a really good work life balance as it is. And, um, when I feel myself like being out of balance or crazy, I tell my family, stay away from me. I don't, and you don't, it sounds mean, but it's like, you're not being mean. It's like, let me have some time. I can't deal right now. And I don't want to snap and be mean to you. So leave me alone.
Exactly.
So I can refresh. So, all good things, but we hope you guys enjoyed this podcast and you got something out of it. Be sure to, like us if you enjoyed it, and share and subscribe. We have some really big news coming up. We teamed up with Intimates by Karina and Dallas Fantasy Boudoir, and we have a really, really cool promotion coming up, and we're so excited to announce it. Like, it's been so much planning, but it's so exciting, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So stay tuned for that, and make sure you subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. So anytime we release a video, like my banana pancakes, it's just a nice gluten-free recipe. You can check that out when we come out with new videos. You'll be notified immediately.
Do not miss out. I promise good things are coming your way. Super excited about it. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I hope you got a whole bunch of information out of it on how to just be human, pretty much running an entrepreneur business. And if you are not an entrepreneur and you still work, that's also great things and great tips here as well that will help you a lot. So if you have to go back and rewatch it, make sure you get a pen and paper out so you can go ahead and write all this. Pretty much just note it down on what has helped you and what will be able to help you to be more productive on your day-to-day basis.
For sure. And whatever that looks like, whether you're married, not married, kids, no kids, job, entrepreneur, whatever it is your heart desires, remember that you can have it all.
Yes. Bye.
Sweet.